The Seoul Central Hospital smells like antiseptic and anxiety. Fluorescent lights hum overhead, casting everything in sterile white. Alana's sneakers squeak against polished floors as she walks toward the prenatal clinic, one hand resting protectively on her swollen belly. 6 months pregnant. Safe. Loved. Finally beginning to believe that nightmares don't follow you across oceans. Then she hears his voice. Alana. Her blood turns to ice. She knows that tone, sharp, mocking, designed to make her feel small. She turns slowly, praying she's wrong, praying it's coincidence, praying her past didn't just walk into her present, wearing the same arrogant smirk. Damon stands 15 feet away, dressed in a cheap suit that doesn't fit right, his eyes scanning her body with predatory assessment. He looks older, harder, meaner. Well, look who got fat and desperate. The Korean nurse at the reception desk glances up, confusion flickering across her features. She doesn't understand English, but she understands tone. Alana's fingers tighten around her purse strap. Her throat closes. 3 years of healing. 3 years of building a life where fear doesn't live in her chest. And suddenly she's 23 again, believing every cruel word he fed her. Damon steps closer. His cologne, that same cheap brand, makes her stomach turn. What, no boyfriend here to protect you? Or did he finally figure out what I already knew? That you're worthless. Behind him, unnoticed, a tall Korean man in a long black coat freezes mid-step. Jin Seo's hand moves to the small earpiece hidden beneath his perfectly styled hair. His eyes narrow, calculating, watching. He recognizes danger before it announces itself. He reaches for his phone without looking away from Damon. Alana tries to step backward. Her heel catches on the edge of a waiting room chair. She stumbles, arms windmilling, and crashes hard onto the hospital floor. Pain shoots through her hip. Her hands fly instinctively to her belly, cradling, protecting. The baby kicks, once, twice, reassuring her even as panic claws up her throat. Damon doesn't apologize. He doesn't help. He steps forward, towering over her like he used to when he wanted to remind her how small she was, how powerless, how completely alone. His foot lifts, not to kick, but close enough that the intention simmers in the air like gasoline fumes waiting for a match. The nurse gasps, both hands flying to cover her mouth. Her eyes go wide with horror. Jin Seo speaks into his earpiece, voice low and controlled. East Wing. Now, emergency protocol. Alana meets Damon's gaze from the floor, her breathing steady despite the fear crackling through her veins. She learned long ago that showing fear only feeds monsters. She steadies her breath, counts to 3, whispers to the child in her belly, "You're safe. Promise. You're safe." Damon sneers, his foot still raised, suspended in threat. Pathetic. Even pregnant, you're still the same weak. The automatic doors behind Alana hiss open. Footsteps, measured, unhurried, authority wrapped in silence. Damon's eyes shift, his foot lowers, his face drains of color. And Alana knows, without turning, without seeing, that her husband has arrived. 3 years ago, Alana believed in second chances. She believed people could change if you loved them hard enough, sacrificed enough, became small enough to fit into their broken edges. She believed Damon when he said he needed her. Started beautifully, the way poison always does. Damon showed up at her apartment building with flowers stolen from the bodega down the street, grinning like a boy caught doing something sweet instead of something cheap. He called her baby and beautiful, and told her she was different from all the other women who didn't understand him. He made her feel chosen, special, necessary. For 6 months, Alana floated through life wrapped in the warm delusion of being needed. Damon moved into her apartment, temporarily, he said, until his business deals came through. He had plans, big plans, real estate ventures and investment opportunities that were always just one phone call away from changing everything. Alana worked double shifts at the hospital, came home exhausted, and still cooked dinner because Damon said her cooking reminded him of home. Then the cracks started showing. Small at first. He criticized the way she folded his shirts, complained that she talked too much about her work, said her laugh was too loud, her friends too dramatic, her ambitions too unrealistic. When she got promoted to lead nurse on her floor, Damon didn't celebrate. He sulked for 3 days, then told her the promotion meant nothing because she still wasn't making enough money. "You work all those hours and we're still broke," he said, sprawled on the couch she bought, eating food she paid for, wearing clothes she washed. What's the point? The point, Alana wanted to scream, was survival. The point was building something. The point was that she was 23 years old and already carrying the weight of 2 people's lives while he carried nothing but excuses. But she didn't scream. She learned quickly that fighting with Damon meant hours of silent treatment. Doors slammed. Accusations hurled like grenades designed to explode her self-worth. So she swallowed her anger, worked more hours, smiled less, shrank smaller. Damon's jealousy arrived next, creeping in like mold. He accused her of flirting with doctors at work, with the barista at the coffee shop, with the elderly security guard who called her sweetheart, because he called everyone sweetheart. He showed up unannounced at the hospital, lingering in the lobby, watching her through glass doors like a warden monitoring an inmate. "I just want to make sure you're safe," he said when she confronted him. "You don't know what kind of men are out there." She knew exactly what kind of men were out there. One was sitting on her couch, eating her food, destroying her peace. The breaking point came on a Tuesday. Alana had worked 14 hours straight, covering for a sick coworker, running on 3 hours of sleep and vending machine coffee. She came home to find her suitcases packed and waiting in the hallway. Damon sat on the couch, her couch, playing video games, not looking up when she walked in. "What is this?" Her voice cracked, exhaustion making every word feel like lifting concrete blocks. "It's not working," Damon said, eyes still fixed on the screen. His thumbs moved across the controller with practiced indifference. "I need space. You're holding me back." Holding him back. From what? Unemployment? Mediocrity? The business deals that never materialized and the ambitions that lived only in his excuses. Alana stared at the suitcases, at the man she'd sacrificed her peace for, at the apartment she'd paid for that was now being taken from her by someone who contributed nothing but chaos. Her heart cracked open, not with sadness, but with something colder, clarity. She picked up her suitcases without a word, walked out, didn't cry until she reached her sister's apartment 2 hours later, collapsing on the pull-out sofa that would become her bed for the next 2 months. 1 week later, staring at a positive pregnancy test in her sister's bathroom, Alana made a decision. She would survive this. She would build a life. She would never let anyone make her feel small again. She just didn't know survival would lead her halfway across the world. The plane ticket felt like both an escape and a surrender. Seoul, South Korea. 12 hours and 7,000 miles away from Damon. From the apartment she lost. From the life that chewed her up and spit her out still breathing but barely. Alana accepted the international nursing contract 3 weeks after discovering her pregnancy. Her sister begged her to stay, to raise the baby close to family, to not run away. But Alana wasn't running. She was rebuilding. And sometimes rebuilding required distance, geographical, emotional, absolute. Seoul greeted her with humidity and chaos. Incheon Airport buzzed with languages she didn't speak, signs she couldn't read, crowds moving with purpose while she stood frozen, clutching her suitcase and a folder containing her work visa. The baby fluttered inside her, barely noticeable, a whisper of movement that reminded her why she was here. Not for adventure, for survival, for a future that didn't include Damon's voice in her head. The hospital assigned her a small apartment in Gangnam, clean and efficient, furnished with the kind of impersonal furniture that made loneliness feel like a design choice. She unpacked her suitcases, hung her scrubs in the closet, and sat on the edge of the bed staring at walls that didn't know her name. Her first shift nearly broke her. The hospital operated with precision that felt both impressive and intimidating. Doctors barked orders in rapid Korean. Nurses moved like synchronized swimmers, anticipating needs before they were spoken. Alana fumbled with medication labels written in Hangul, second-guessing herself. apologizing too much, feeling the weight of being foreign pressing down on her shoulders like wet concrete. A senior nurse named Haewon pulled her aside during lunch break. "You apologize too much," she said in careful English. "Do your job well. That is enough." But was it? Alana's pregnancy was starting to show, subtle, but visible to anyone paying attention. Morning sickness hit at unpredictable hours. Her feet swelled after long shifts. She worked through exhaustion because stopping meant thinking, and thinking meant remembering, and remembering meant feeling the full weight of how completely alone she was. 3 months in, Alana broke. It happened in the supply room during a rare quiet moment between patients. She sat on a box of gauze, surrounded by shelves of sterile supplies, and let herself cry for the first time since leaving America. She cried for the girl who believed love meant sacrifice. She cried for the baby who would grow up without a father. She cried for the version of herself who thought survival would feel less like drowning. The door opened. Haewon stood in the doorway, expression unreadable, holding 2 cups of tea. She handed one to Alana, sat down on a neighboring box, and said nothing. They drank tea in silence while Alana's tears dried and her breathing steadied. "You are stronger than you think," Haewon finally said. "Weak people don't cross oceans alone." Alana wanted to believe her. She wanted to feel strong. Instead, she felt tired, pregnant, displaced, barely holding together the pieces of a life she was still trying to build. That night, returning to her empty apartment, she placed both hands on her growing belly and whispered a promise. "I will give you better. I will give you safe. I will give you a life where no one makes you feel small." She just didn't know that promise would be tested sooner than she thought. 2 weeks later, the hospital emergency bay doors burst open at 2 a.m. 2 men in dark suits carried someone between them. A man bleeding heavily, barely conscious, expensive shoes leaving red smears across the polished floor. Alana stood at the triage desk. Her hands moved automatically, years of training kicking in before conscious thought. "Bring him here. Now, keep pressure on the wound. Someone call surgery." Chaos erupted. Nurses shouted. Doctors ran. The suited men refused to leave, stone-faced and immovable until security arrived. And the bleeding man, unconscious, pale, dying, opened his eyes and looked directly at Alana. "Don't let me die," he whispered in perfect English. She gripped his hand. "I won't." It was a promise she intended to keep. Blood soaks through gauze faster than most people realize. Alana learned this during her first year of nursing school, watching a teaching video that made half her classmates turn green and excuse themselves. She learned that staying calm during crisis isn't about being unafraid. It's about deciding your fear matters less than someone else's survival. The man on the gurney is dying. She can see it in his pallor, in the way his chest rises and falls with shallow, desperate gasps, in the blood pooling beneath him despite 3 nurses applying pressure. A stab wound, deep and clean, the kind that suggests intention rather than accident. "Move him to Trauma Bay 2, Alana orders, her voice cutting through the chaos with surprising authority. She's only been at Seoul Central for 4 months, but crisis has a way of stripping away hierarchy. Right now, she's not foreign. She's not pregnant. She's not alone. She's a nurse and someone is dying, and that's all that matters. The suited men follow, trying to push into the trauma bay. Security blocks them, arms crossed, immovable. One of the suited men, tall, sharp-eyed, radiating controlled danger, locks eyes with Alana. "You let him die. There are consequences. You distract me, he dies faster." Alana shoots back, already scrubbing in. "Wait outside." To her surprise, the man nods and steps back. The surgery takes 6 hours. Alana assists the trauma team, handing instruments, monitoring vitals, watching the patient's blood pressure spike and drop and spike again like a cruel roller coaster. Twice his heart stops. Twice they bring him back. The lead surgeon, Dr. Kim, a woman with steel in her eyes and poetry in her hands, works with focused precision, narrating every move in Korean for the residents while Alana follows along through context and body language. Finally, Dr. Kim steps back, peeling off her gloves. "He'll live. Maybe. Alana stays. She doesn't leave the patient's side even when her shift ends, even when her feet scream and her back aches, and the baby inside her kicks in protest. She monitors his vitals, adjusts his wipes sweat from his forehead with the kind of gentle care reserved for people who might not wake up. He wakes up at dawn. His eyes open slowly, dark and intelligent despite the pain medication clouding them. He looks around the recovery room, taking inventory, the line, the monitors, the sunlight creeping through the blinds. Then he looks at Alana, who's sitting in a chair beside his bed, exhausted but alert. "You stayed," he says in English, voice rough. "Someone had to make sure you didn't die out of spite," Alana replies, checking his vitals on the monitor. His mouth twitches, almost a smile. "What's your name?" "Alana. Min Ben." He pauses, studying her face with unsettling intensity. "You saved my life. I did my job." "No." His hand moves slowly, painfully, until his fingers brush hers. "You stayed when you didn't have to. You fought for me when you didn't know me. That's not a job. That's a choice." Alana doesn't know what to say. She's too tired for philosophy, too numb from months of survival mode to process gratitude that feels too big, too meaningful. The door opens. One of the suited men from last night enters, the tall one with sharp eyes. He approaches Alana, pulling an envelope from his jacket. "For your trouble." Alana doesn't take it. "I don't save lives for payment." The man blinks, clearly not expecting refusal. "It's proper. You should accept." "No." Min Ben watches this exchange with something shifting in his expression. Surprise, respect, something deeper that Alana's too exhausted to interpret. "Jean Seo," he says quietly. "Put it away." Jean Seo hesitates, then bows slightly and leaves. "You just refused money from very dangerous people," Min Ben says, that almost smile returning. "I'm a nurse," Alana replies, standing to check his bandages. "I save people. That's not transactional." Min Ben studies her for a long moment. "You're different. I'm tired." But she softens the words with a small smile. "Rest. I'll check on you later." She leaves before he can respond, walking back to the nurse's station where Hae-won is waiting with raised eyebrows. "Do you know who that man is?" Hae-won whispers. "A patient." "Alana." Hae-won's expression is serious. "That man is very powerful. Very dangerous. You should be careful." But Alana's too exhausted to be afraid. She survived Damon. She crossed an ocean alone while pregnant. She's building a life from broken pieces. Danger, at this point, feels almost ordinary. 3 days later, as Alana finishes her morning rounds, the charge nurse approaches with a strange expression. "The patient in room 407 requested you specifically for his recovery care. Room 407. Min Ben." Alana should refuse, should maintain professional distance, should listen to the warning bells ringing in the back of her mind. Instead, she walks to room 407 and knocks. Min Ben looks up from his hospital bed, where he's reading a newspaper despite the pain medication. "I hoped you'd come. Your recovery is progressing well," Alana says, checking his chart. "Professional. Distant. Sit," Min Ben says. Not a command, a request. Against her better judgment, Alana sits. And for the first time in months, she doesn't feel alone. Recovery is intimate in ways people don't discuss. It's not just about healing wounds and monitoring vitals. It's about vulnerability, the kind that strips away pretense and leaves only honesty. Min Ben becomes Alana's patient, her responsibility, and slowly, quietly, something more complicated. He asks questions. Not intrusive ones, but gentle, genuine curiosity wrapped in careful attention. He asks about her favorite foods, her reasons for coming to Korea, her opinion on the cherry blossoms blooming outside his window. He doesn't pry about her pregnancy, though his eyes linger on her growing belly with something that looks like protective concern rather than judgment. Alana finds herself answering, talking, sharing pieces of herself she thought she'd locked away after Damon. Min Ben listens like listening is an art form. No interruptions, no advice, no attempts to fix things that can't be fixed. He simply hears her. You're sad. He observes one afternoon while she's changing his bandages. I'm fine. Sadness and functionality aren't opposites. His voice is gentle, lacking the accusatory edge she's come to expect when men comment on her emotions. You can be both strong and hurting. Alana's hands still. She doesn't look at him. Why do you care? Because you saved my life. He pauses. And because recognizing pain in others is easy when you've carried enough of your own. She looks up then, meeting his eyes. There's something ancient in his gaze. Something that's seen darkness and survived it. She recognizes that look. She sees it in her own mirror. After 2 weeks, Min Ben is discharged. Alana expects him to disappear. Back to whatever powerful, dangerous world Haewon warned her about. Instead, he starts appearing at the hospital during her breaks. Not inside, outside, leaning against an expensive black car, holding takeout from restaurants Alana can't pronounce, offering food without expectation. You don't have to keep checking on me, Alana tells him, accepting the warm container of tteokbokki anyway. I know. Min Ben smiles. I want to. The baby kicks. Alana winces, pressing a hand to her side. Min Ben notices immediately, concern flickering across his features. Are you okay? Just active today. She manages a small laugh. Apparently, someone's not a fan of spicy food. Min Ben's expression softens. You're raising a child alone. It's not a question, but Alana answers anyway. Yes, that's brave. That's survival. They're not mutually exclusive. Over the following weeks, Min Ben becomes a constant. He walks Alana home after late shifts, maintaining respectful distance but radiating protection. He sends groceries to her apartment, high quality, nutritious, things she wouldn't buy for herself because pregnancy made finances even tighter. He never asks for anything in return. Alana starts looking forward to seeing him, starts smiling when his car pulls up outside the hospital, starts feeling something dangerous blooming in her chest. Hope. One evening, walking through a quiet park near her apartment, Alana finally asks the question she's been avoiding. Haewon says you're dangerous, that I should be careful. Min Ben doesn't flinch. She's not wrong. What does that mean? He stops walking, turning to face her. Streetlights cast shadows across his features, making him look both younger and older simultaneously. It means I operate in a world that has rules you wouldn't recognize. It means I have power that comes with prices. It means people respect me because they fear what happens if they don't. Alana should be afraid. She should walk away. Instead, she asks, have you ever hurt someone who didn't deserve it? No. Have you ever hurt someone I should care about? No. Then I don't care what world you operate in. Her voice is steady, certain. I care about who you are when no one's watching. And when no one's watching, you're kind. You're thoughtful. You're the first man in years who's treated me like I matter. Min Ben's expression shifts, surprise giving way to something warmer, more vulnerable. You do matter. More than you realize. The baby kicks again. Min Ben's eyes drop to her belly, then back to her face. I would never hurt you. I would never control you. I would never make you feel small. He pauses. I know someone did. I see it in the way you flinch when I move too quickly. I see it in the way you apologize for things that don't require apologies. Whoever hurt you, whatever he did, I am not him. Tears prick Alana's eyes. I know. Do you? She reaches out, taking his hand. I'm learning. That night, walking back to her apartment, Alana doesn't notice the figure following 3 blocks behind, doesn't see the way shadows shift and move with predatory intent. But Min Ben's men notice. Jin Seo and 2 others materialize from nowhere, intercepting the figure before he gets within 50 feet of Alana's building. There's a brief conversation, quiet, controlled, ending with the figure retreating quickly into the night. Jin Seo watches Alana enter her apartment safely, then pulls out his phone. Sir, we had a situation. Handled. But you should know. Someone was following her. On the other end of the line, Min Ben's voice goes cold. Find out who. Find out why. And make sure it doesn't happen again. Understood. Inside her apartment, unaware of the protection wrapping around her like invisible armor, Alana places both hands on her belly and allows herself to feel something she hasn't felt in years. Safe. The restaurant overlooks the Han River, all floor-to-ceiling windows and ambient lighting designed to make everything feel like a scene from a movie Alana can't afford to watch. Min Ben chose it carefully, public enough to feel safe, private enough to speak truths that require discretion. Alana sits across from him wearing a dress she borrowed from Hae-won, feeling simultaneously beautiful and out of place. 7 months pregnant now, her belly prominent enough that the hostess offered her extra cushions and a concerned smile. Min Ben hasn't taken his eyes off her since she arrived, looking at her like she's something precious rather than inconvenient. You didn't have to bring me somewhere this expensive, Alana says, studying the menu where prices are conspicuously absent. A sure sign she can't afford anything listed. I wanted to. Min Ben's voice is warm. You deserve beautiful things. I deserve honesty more. He sets down his menu, giving her his full attention. You're right. That's why I brought you here. I need to tell you something, and after I do, you're free to walk away. I won't follow. I won't pressure you. I'll simply respect your choice. Alana's pulse quickens. She's heard this speech before. Different words, same undertone. This is where men tell you they're married, or broke, or fundamentally incapable of being what you need. She braces herself for disappointment that feels almost comfortable in its familiarity. I'm not who you think I am, Min Ben begins. Or rather, I'm exactly who you think I am, but also more complicated. Hae-won says you're dangerous. I am. He doesn't flinch from the truth. My family controls significant business interests in Seoul. Some legitimate, some existing in spaces where legality becomes interpretive. We have influence, power, the kind that comes with protection but also scrutiny. Alana processes this information, watching his face for signs of the manipulation she learned to recognize with Damon. But Min Ben's expression holds only careful honesty. Are you telling me you're a criminal? I'm telling you I operate in a world where right and wrong aren't always clearly defined. Where protecting people I care about sometimes requires methods that wouldn't hold up in court. He pauses. I'm telling you that loving me comes with complications you didn't sign up for. The word loving hangs between them like a confession neither meant to voice yet. Alana's hand moves instinctively to her belly. The baby kicks, as if offering an opinion on this conversation. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve to choose with full information. Because I've watched you these past months. Working yourself to exhaustion. Building a life alone. Creating safety for your child through sheer force of will. And I've fallen completely in love with your strength. His voice drops lower, more vulnerable. And because I can't keep protecting you from shadows without you understanding why those shadows exist. Protecting me? Alana's mind flashes back to moments that felt like coincidence but maybe weren't. The stranger who stopped following her. The apartment break-in that was resolved before she even filed a police report. The hospital colleague who was suddenly transferred after making inappropriate comments about her pregnancy. Min Ben's silence confirms what she's already piecing together. You've been watching me. I've been keeping you safe. That's not the same thing, isn't it? He leans forward, voice earnest. Alana, the moment you saved my life, you became important to people who don't handle importance gently. I couldn't walk away knowing you might become collateral damage for showing me kindness. So yes, I've had people watching, making sure no one harms you, making sure you can live your life without fear. She should be angry, should feel violated, controlled, manipulated. But there's a difference between surveillance born of control and protection born of care. Damon tracked her movements to punish her. Min Ben protected her freedom to move safely. What if I walk away right now? Alana asks. What if I decide this is too much? Then I'll make sure you're still protected from a distance. Your safety doesn't depend on your affection. The distinction breaks something open in Alana's chest. Damon's love was conditional, available only when she performed correctly, withheld when she failed his arbitrary standards. Min Ben's protection exists independent of her choices. He's offering care without coercion. I'm scared, she admits quietly. Of me. Of being wrong again. Of trusting someone who'll eventually hurt me. Of bringing my child into a situation that becomes dangerous. Min Ben reaches across the table, palm up, offering rather than taking. Alana places her hand in his. His grip is warm, steady, anchoring. I can't promise you a simple life, he says. I can't promise there won't be complications, or that my world won't sometimes feel heavy. But I can promise you this. I will never lie to you. I will never control you. I will never make you smaller to make myself bigger. And I will protect you and your child with everything I have. Alana studies his face, the sincerity in his eyes, the vulnerability in his posture, the way he's offering himself completely while simultaneously giving her permission to refuse. It's the opposite of everything Damon taught her about love. I need time, she finally says, to think, to process. Take all the time you need. They finish dinner talking about safer things. Books, movies, her pregnancy cravings, his childhood and soul. The conversation flows easily, punctuated by comfortable silences that don't require filling. When Min Ben drives her home, he walks her to her door but doesn't ask to come inside. Thank you for trusting me with the truth, Alana says. Thank you for not running immediately. His smile is gentle. That's more than I expected. She watches him leave, then sits on her couch placing both hands on her belly. The baby moves, restless and active, responding to Alana's elevated heart rate. What do you think? She whispers. Is it crazy to consider this? The baby kicks twice. Alana chooses to interpret that as affirmative. She pulls out her phone and texts Min Ben. I don't need more time. I need to know if you meant what you said. His response is immediate. Every word. Always. Alana stares at her phone for a long moment, then types. Then I choose this. I choose you. I choose us. 3 dots appear, disappear, appear again. Finally. I will spend the rest of my life proving you made the right choice. For the first time since Damon, Alana lets herself believe that love might not always end in ruins. Min Ben's version of courtship is unlike anything Alana has experienced. There are no grand public gestures or performative displays designed to prove his devotion to invisible audiences. Instead, he offers quiet constancy, showing up consistently, asking what she needs, listening to answers most men wouldn't wait to hear. He brings her favorite foods without being asked. Remembers she hates mushrooms and loves extra ginger in her tea. Notices when she's tired and arranges for a car to drive her home instead of letting her take the subway. Never makes her feel indebted for care that should be freely given. 3 weeks after their dinner by the Han River, Min Ben introduces her to his inner circle. Not at a formal event or intimidating gathering, but at a small, private dinner at his home. A penthouse that screams expensive taste without trying to impress. The space is clean, modern, filled with art that suggests someone who appreciates beauty without needing to announce wealth. Jean Seo is there, along with 3 others, 2 men and 1 woman, all dressed in understated elegance that somehow makes Alana's borrowed maternity dress feel inadequate. They study her with expressions ranging from curious to skeptical, and Alana understands she's being evaluated. Not as Min Ben's girlfriend, but as someone who might enter their protected world and become a potential liability. Alana saved my life. Min Ben tells them simply, hand resting lightly on the small of her back. Present but not possessive. She refused payment, refused intimidation, stayed by my side when she had no reason to beyond basic human decency. He pauses. I intend to spend the rest of my life making sure she never regrets that kindness. The woman, elegant, sharp-eyed, radiating the kind of authority that comes from earning it, steps forward first. I'm Sunmi. I handle operations. She extends her hand. You're either very brave or very naive. Probably both, Alana admits, shaking her hand. Sunmi's expression softens almost imperceptibly. Good. We have no use for people who pretend they're not afraid. Fear with forward motion is courage. Fear with paralysis is useless. The evening progresses with surprising warmth. They ask about her work, her pregnancy, her plans. Not interrogating, genuinely interested. Jin Seo admits he was skeptical at first, worried Min Ben was making emotional decisions that would compromise security. But you're steady, he says. That matters more than people realize. By the time Alana leaves, she feels less like an outsider being scrutinized and more like someone tentatively welcomed into a family that protects its own fiercely. Min Ben drives her home, hand finding hers across the center console. That went well. They're intimidating. They're loyal. Once you're in, you're protected. He glances at her. And you're in. If you want to be. Alana squeezes his hand. I want to be. 2 months later, Min Ben proposes. Not with a ring, not initially. He waits until they're alone in his apartment. Alana sitting on his couch with her feet propped up because her ankles are swollen and her back aches from carrying another human inside her body. Marry me, he says simply, kneeling in front of her so they're eye level. Alana's breath catches. What? Marry me. Not because you're pregnant and I'm trying to be honorable. Not because I want to control you or claim you. Marry me because I love you. Because I want to build a life with you. Because I want your child to have my name and my protection. Not out of obligation, but out of choice. Min Ben. I know it's fast. I know you're still healing from whatever that other man did to you. I know I come with complications you didn't ask for. His hands cup her face gently. But I also know that every day without you feels incomplete. That watching you build a life with such fierce determination makes me want to be worthy of standing beside you. That I want to wake up every morning knowing you chose me. Not because you needed rescue, but because we chose each other. Tears stream down Alana's face. Happy tears this time. Not the broken ones she cried on her sister's couch or in hospital supply rooms. Yes, she whispers. Yes, I'll marry you. Min Ben pulls a small box from his pocket. Velvet, worn at the edges, clearly holding something with history. Inside sits a ring that's beautiful without being ostentatious. A single diamond set in platinum, elegant and timeless. This was my grandmother's. She would have loved you. Alana lets him slide the ring onto her finger, and it fits perfectly, as if some part of the universe decided that despite all the broken pieces of her past, this moment was always waiting. The wedding happens 3 weeks later. Not a grand affair, but an intimate ceremony that honors both their worlds. Alana wears a crimson hanbok that Sunmi helps her choose, the silk flowing around her pregnant belly in layers of traditional beauty. Min Ben wears a matching hanbok, and when they bow to each other during the ceremony, Alana feels the weight of culture and commitment settling on her shoulders like a blessing rather than a burden. Her sister flies in from America, crying through the entire ceremony, whispering, I'm so happy for you, between sobs. Hae-won attends, along with several nurses from the hospital who've become Alana's chosen family in this foreign country that now feels like home. The ceremony is conducted in Korean and English, honoring both their languages, both their lives. When Min Ben lifts her veil, he speaks in English first. I promise to protect you always. Then in Korean, words Alana's been learning. I love you. Alana responds in her practiced Korean, the words slow but sincere. I want to be with you. The small gathering erupts in applause. Jin Seo, stoic and professional, actually smiles. Sunmi wipes at her eyes discreetly. Alana's sister sobs loudly, joyfully, without shame. That evening, in the quiet of their shared home, no longer his apartment or hers, but theirs, Min Ben kneels beside where Alana sits, placing both hands gently on her swollen belly. The baby kicks immediately, as if recognizing his touch. I will protect both of you, he murmurs. Not because you need protecting, but because loving you means ensuring you never have to face darkness alone. Alana runs her fingers through his hair, overwhelmed by how completely her life has transformed. From Damon's cruelty to Min Ben's devotion. From sleeping on her sister's couch to building a home with someone who sees her strength rather than her scars. I'm scared, she admits quietly, that this is too good, that something will come and destroy it. Min Ben looks up at her, eyes serious. The world I operate in has dangers. I won't lie about that, but I will also never let those dangers touch you. You have my word, my protection, and my heart. Nothing will destroy this. 2 months later, Alana goes into labor at 3 a.m. Min Ben drives her to the hospital with steady hands and a calm voice, even though she can see the fear flickering in his eyes. He stays by her side through 14 hours of labor, holding her hand, wiping her forehead, whispering encouragement in Korean and English until the words blur together into a language composed entirely of love. When their daughter is born, healthy, loud, perfect, Min Ben cries openly. He holds the tiny infant with hands that have seen violence but cradle new life with infinite gentleness. She's beautiful, like her mother. Alana, exhausted and euphoric, watches her husband hold their daughter and realizes something profound. She is no longer the woman Damon threw away. She is no longer defined by survival. She is loved, protected, cherished. She is a mother, a wife, a woman who crossed oceans and rebuilt herself from broken pieces into something whole. What should we name her? Min Ben asks, still staring at their daughter with wonder. Alana thinks of the Korean word Haewon taught her months ago. Hope, Minji. It means clever and wise. Minji, Min Ben repeats, testing the name. Perfect. They take their daughter home to a nursery prepared with meticulous care. Soft colors, comfortable furniture, protection woven into every detail. Jin Seo and Sunmi visit with gifts, cooing over the baby with surprising gentleness. Haewon arrives with traditional seaweed soup, a Korean custom for new mothers, insisting Alana eat to regain strength. Life settles into a rhythm of nighttime feedings and daytime exhaustion and overwhelming love. Min Ben hires a night nurse, insisting Alana needs rest, but she often wakes anyway, drawn to the nursery where Min Ben sits holding their daughter, singing Korean lullabies in a voice rough with emotion and tenderness. 3 months pass. Then 6. Alana returns to work part-time, missing the hospital but unwilling to leave Minji for too long. Min Ben arranges everything to accommodate her needs. Flexible schedules, childcare, transportation, never controlling, always supporting. And Alana begins to believe that maybe, just maybe, happy endings aren't myths. Maybe they're simply what happens when you survive long enough to find someone who chooses to build them with you. She has no idea that her past is about to collide with her present in the worst possible way. The Seoul Central Hospital feels different now. Familiar instead of foreign, comfortable instead of intimidating. Alana walks through the hallways with confident steps, greeted by colleagues who've become friends, stopping to chat with Haewon about Minji's latest developmental milestones. Today is a routine prenatal checkup. Alana is 3 months pregnant with their second child. A surprise that delighted Min Ben so much he picked her up and spun her around despite her protests about dignity and decorum. This pregnancy feels different, easier. She's not alone, not scared, not surviving. She's thriving. The clinic waiting area is quiet, filled with the soft murmur of expectant mothers and the occasional cry of impatient toddlers. Alana checks in at reception, accepts her paperwork, and settles into a chair with her phone, texting Min Ben a photo of her patient wristband with the caption, "Second time's the charm." His response is immediate. "You're incredible. I'll pick you up after. Love you." She's smiling at her phone when she hears it. That voice, the one that still sometimes haunts her nightmares, though less frequently now that she's built a life where fear has no permanent residence. Alana. Her blood freezes. Her fingers tighten around her phone. She looks up slowly, praying she's wrong, praying it's coincidence, praying the universe isn't cruel enough to put him here. Now, in the one place she's supposed to feel safe. But Damon stands 15 feet away, looking older and harder and meaner than she remembers. He's wearing a cheap suit that doesn't fit properly. His hair slicked back in a style that tries too hard to look successful. His eyes scan her body with that same predatory assessment that used to make her feel like prey. Well, he steps closer, voice dripping with mock surprise and genuine cruelty. Look who got fat and desperate. The nurse at reception glances up, confusion flickering across her face. She doesn't understand English, but she understands tone. Other patients shift uncomfortably, sensing tension even if they don't comprehend its source. Alana's throat closes. 3 years of healing, 3 years of building a life where she's loved and protected and valued. And suddenly she's 23 again, believing every poisonous word Damon fed her. Her hand moves instinctively to her belly. Protective, maternal. An automatic gesture she doesn't even realize she's making. Damon notices. His smile sharpens, cruel and satisfied. Seriously? Again? Jesus, Alana, you really can't do anything right. Can you? What, you thought trapping some guy with a baby would work this time? She wants to speak. Wants to defend herself. Tell him he's wrong. That her life is beautiful now. That she's married to someone who loves her without conditions. But words stick in her throat. Trapped behind years of conditioning that taught her speaking back only made things worse. What, no comeback? Damon steps even closer, invading her space with practiced intimidation. That's what I thought. You're still the same pathetic girl I threw out. Still worthless. Still needing a man to validate your existence. Behind him, unnoticed, a tall Korean man in a long black coat freezes mid-step. Jin Seo's hand moves automatically to the small earpiece, hidden beneath his perfectly styled hair. His eyes narrow, assessing, calculating. He was here for routine security. Min Ben insisted someone always stay close when Alana was at the hospital. Not because he didn't trust her, but because protecting her had become as natural as breathing. Jin Seo reaches for his phone without taking his eyes off Damon. His voice is low, controlled, urgent. Location: East Wing, Prenatal Clinic. Subject: engaging Mrs. Min aggressively. Sending backup. Alana tries to step backward, to create distance, to escape. But her heel catches on the edge of a waiting room chair. She stumbles, arms windmilling, and crashes hard onto the hospital floor. Pain shoots through her hip. Her hands fly instinctively to her belly, cradling, protecting. Terror floods her system, not for herself but for the child inside her. The baby kicks, once, twice, reassuring her even as panic claws up her throat. Damon doesn't apologize, doesn't help, doesn't show even a flicker of concern. Instead, he steps forward, towering over her the way he used to when he wanted to remind her how small she was, how powerless, how completely at his mercy. Pathetic, he spits, his foot lifting. Not to kick, but close enough that the threat simmers in the air. Even pregnant, you're still worthless without a man. Where is he, anyway? Your baby daddy? Or did he finally realize what I knew all along? That you're too broken to be worth the effort. The nurse gasps, both hands flying to cover her mouth. Her eyes go wide with horror. Another patient pulls out her phone, recording, uncertain whether to intervene or document. Jin Seo moves, positioning himself for intervention, hand hovering near his concealed weapon. His phone buzzes. Backup is 2 minutes away. Too long. He steps forward, voice commanding. Step away from her. Now. Damon glances at him dismissively. Who the hell are you? Her bodyguard. He laughs, bitter and mocking. Jesus, Alana, you really moved up in the world, didn't you? Got yourself a foreign boyfriend with hired muscle. I'm sure that'll last. Alana meets Damon's gaze from the floor, her breathing steady despite the fear crackling through her veins. She learned long ago that showing fear only feeds monsters. She steadies her breath, counts to 3, whispers to the child in her belly, "You're safe. Promise. You're safe." But she knows something Damon doesn't. She knows her husband is already on his way. She knows that Min Ben doesn't make threats, he makes promises. She knows that Damon just made the worst mistake of his miserable life. Damon's voice rises, attracting more attention. You better answer me. Where's this rich man you think you deserve? Too busy to show up for your pathetic little hospital visit. The hallway falls quiet, waiting, watching, and then, from behind Damon, a voice, deep, controlled, devastatingly calm, answers his question. Right here. Damon spins around, and for the first time since Alana's known him, she sees genuine fear flicker across his features. Min Ben stands at the end of the corridor, flanked by two men in black suits, his long coat billowing slightly from the speed of his arrival. His expression is calm, too calm. The kind of calm that means danger without needing to raise a hand. The kind of calm that precedes storms. The hallway feels smaller suddenly, oxygen thinner, as if Min Ben's presence has altered the atmospheric pressure. He doesn't rush, doesn't shout, simply walks forward with measured, controlled steps that somehow feel more threatening than any violent charge could be. He passes Damon without acknowledging him at first, moving directly to Alana instead. Kneeling beside her on the hospital floor, his hands hover near her shoulders, asking permission before touching, even now, even in crisis. Are you hurt? Did he touch you? Alana shakes her head, blinking back tears that are relief rather than fear. I'm okay. The baby kicked. We're okay. Min Ben's jaw tightens. He exhales slowly, a controlled release of the fury she can see simmering beneath his composed exterior. He helps her to her feet gently, hands steady and sure, treating her like something precious that requires care rather than something broken that needs fixing. Only after Alana is standing, only after he's certain she's unharmed, does Min Ben turn to face Damon. The shift in the air is immediate. The nurse steps back instinctively. Jin Seo positions himself strategically, blocking the exit. The other patients watch with wide eyes, phones raised, documenting everything. Min Ben's voice is low, measured, and devastatingly controlled. You should thank the universe that my wife is unharmed. If she wasn't. He lets the sentence hang, unfinished but clear. Damon swallows hard, bravado cracking. I didn't know she was your wife. That is the first truth you've spoken today. Min Ben's eyes are cold as steel, empty of warmth or mercy. And also the only thing saving you. Look, man, I don't want any trouble. Damon's voice rises, defensive, trying to salvage control he never actually had. Trouble. Min Ben's laugh is quiet, humorless. You put your hands near my pregnant wife. You made her fall. You stood over her threateningly while she protected our child. He steps closer, not touching Damon but somehow making him flinch anyway. Trouble would be merciful compared to what you deserve. Damon tries to back away, but Jin Seo blocks his path. Trapped, cornered, finally understanding the magnitude of his mistake. I didn't touch her, Damon protests weakly. I didn't actually hurt her. You made her afraid. Min Ben's voice drops lower, more dangerous. You humiliated her in public. You threatened her safety. You disrespected her existence. He pauses, each word deliberate. Do you know what happens to men who threaten things I love? The hallway goes silent. Even the crying toddler from earlier has gone quiet, as if sensing the tension. Damon's face drains of color. Please, I didn't know. Ignorance is not innocence. Min Ben leans in just enough that only Damon can hear his next words, voice dropping to a whisper that somehow carries more weight than any shout. You will leave this country today. You will not call. You will not write. You will not speak her name again. You will not search for her online. You will erase her from your memory as thoroughly as she's erased you from her life. I can't just. You can. You will. Min Ben's expression doesn't change, but something in his eyes makes Damon's protests die in his throat. If you attempt to contact her, if you speak about her, if you even think too loudly in her direction, I will ensure you disappear so quietly that even your own shadow forgets you existed. It's not a threat. Threats imply possibility. This is a promise wrapped in certainty. Damon trembles, trying one last desperate play. You can't just. There are laws. Laws. Min Ben's smile is cold. How naive. Do you think laws protect men who harm pregnant women in hospital lobbies? Do you think anyone here will defend you? He gestures to the watching crowd, to the nurse still covering her mouth in horror, to the patients recording every moment. You've already condemned yourself publicly. I'm simply offering you a choice. Leave with your dignity intact, or be removed with consequences you lack the imagination to comprehend. Jin Seo steps forward, discreetly producing a plane ticket from his jacket. Your flight leaves in 4 hours. First class. We're feeling generous. His tone suggests this generosity is temporary and revocable. Damon takes the ticket with shaking hands. She's not worth this. She's not worth any of this. It's the wrong thing to say. Min Ben's composure cracks just slightly, not into rage, but into something colder. More final. That statement proves you never deserved even a moment of her time. My wife is worth everything. She is brilliant, kind, strong, and infinitely more valuable than you'll ever comprehend. He straightens, dismissing Damon with a look. This conversation is over. You have 4 hours. I suggest you use them wisely. He turns away, the ultimate insult, deciding Damon isn't even worth continued attention. Taking Alana's hand gently, he guides her toward the prenatal clinic. Let's get you checked. Make sure everything's okay. Behind them, Jin Seo and the other security personnel close in around Damon, not touching him, but making it abundantly clear his choices have narrowed to one. Leave. Damon stands frozen for a moment, watching Alana walk away with Min Ben's protective hand at the small of her back, seeing her treated with the respect and care he never bothered to provide. For the first time, possibly in his entire miserable life, Damon understands what he lost. Not Alana specifically. He never valued her enough to mourn losing her. But the possibility of ever being the kind of man someone like Min Ben is naturally. Jin Seo's voice is quiet but firm. Your car is waiting downstairs. I suggest you don't keep it waiting. Damon leaves, escorted by silent men in black suits, walking through a hospital lobby where everyone now knows exactly what kind of man he is. Small, cruel, pathetic. Behind him, in the prenatal clinic, Alana sits on an examination table while a doctor checks her vitals and listens to the baby's heartbeat. Min Ben stands beside her, holding her hand, his thumb tracing gentle circles against her palm. Strong heartbeat. The doctor announces in English, smiling. Baby is fine. Mother is fine. Just elevated stress levels, which is understandable given the circumstances. Thank you, Alana whispers, relief flooding through her. Min Ben waits until the doctor leaves, then pulls Alana into his arms, holding her carefully, as if she might break. I'm sorry I wasn't there sooner. You were exactly on time. Alana's voice is muffled against his chest. How did you know to come? Jin Seo called. I was already in the building for a meeting 3 floors up. He pulls back enough to look at her face, cupping her cheek gently. The moment I heard you needed me, nothing else mattered. He can't hurt me anymore, Alana says, and realizes she means it. Not really. Not when I have you. You've always been strong enough to survive him, Min Ben corrects gently. I just make sure you don't have to survive alone. They sit in comfortable silence, Alana's head on Min Ben's shoulder, his hand resting protectively on her belly. Outside, the Seoul afternoon continues. Cars honking, people walking, life moving forward. Inside, in the quiet of the prenatal clinic, 2 people who found each other against impossible odds simply exist together. Protected, loved, chosen. And somewhere between the hospital and the airport, Damon boards a plane that will take him far away from the life Alana built without him. He leaves Korea that evening. He never contacts her again. The apartment is quiet when they arrive home. Minji is with Sunmi for the afternoon, giving them time to process, to breathe, to simply exist without performance. Alana sinks into the couch, exhaustion settling into her bones. Not from physical exertion, but from emotional expenditure. Confronting your past takes energy no amount of rest can fully restore. Min Ben kneels in front of her again, just like he did in the hospital, just like he did when he proposed, positioning himself at her level rather than above her. His hands rest gently on her knees. Talk to me. Alana stares at those hands, strong, capable, gentle. Hands that could hurt but choose protection instead. I spent so long believing him, believing I was worthless, that no one else would want me, that I should be grateful he tolerated my existence at all. She meets Min Ben's eyes. And today, seeing him again, I felt myself starting to shrink, starting to believe those lies all over again. But you didn't. Min Ben's voice is firm, certain. You fell, but you protected our child. You stayed calm. You didn't break. I was terrified. Being terrified and being broken aren't the same thing. You were scared, but you didn't let that fear define your actions. He squeezes her knees gently. That's strength, Alana. That's everything. I froze, she admits quietly. When he started yelling, I couldn't speak, couldn't defend myself. I just froze. Freezing is a survival response. Your body remembered danger and protected you the only way it knew how. Min Ben's expression is tender. You don't owe anyone, especially him, a performance of strength. You survived. That's enough. Alana's eyes fill with tears. Not sad ones, but the kind that come when someone sees you completely and loves you anyway. What did you say to him? At the end, when you leaned in, Min Ben hesitates, clearly weighing honesty against protection. I told him to leave Korea, to never contact you, to erase you from his life completely. And if he doesn't, he will. The certainty in Min Ben's voice is absolute. Because he's a coward who only exercises power over people who can't fight back. The moment he encountered someone willing to protect you, he crumbled. You scared him. Good. Min Ben's expression hardens slightly. Men like him only understand fear. Reasoning doesn't work. Compassion is wasted. But consequences, those they comprehend perfectly. Alana processes this, understanding that her husband operates in a world where protection sometimes requires methods that wouldn't appear in greeting cards or romantic comedies. But she also understands that his capacity for controlled danger is precisely what keeps her safe. He's not violent for violence's sake. He's protective in a world that requires protection. What happens now? She asks. Now? Min Ben stands, pulling her gently to her feet and into his arms. Now we live our lives. We raise our children. We build the future we've chosen together. Damon becomes a footnote in your history rather than a chapter in your present. Just like that. Just like that. He pulls back enough to look at her face. He had power over you when you were alone, scared, and believing his lies. He has no power now. You're loved, protected, valued. Everything he said you'd never be. Alana rests her forehead against his chest, listening to his heartbeat. Steady, reliable, constant. I keep waiting for this to fall apart. For you to realize I'm too damaged, too complicated, too much work. Alana. Min Ben's voice is firm. Look at me. She does. You are not damaged. You are healing, and healing is messy and nonlinear and sometimes requires revisiting old wounds. But healing is not the same as being broken. His hands frame her face gently. You are not complicated, you're human. You have history and trauma and scars that shape how you navigate the world. That doesn't make you difficult. It makes you real. And the too much work part? Love isn't transactional. It's not about whether you're worth the effort. It's about choosing someone and continuing to choose them, especially when things get hard. He kisses her forehead softly. I choose you. Every day. Every moment. Every single time. The door opens. Sunmi enters with Minji, who squeals with delight at seeing her parents and toddles forward on unsteady legs. Min Ben scoops her up, kissing her cheeks while she giggles and pulls at his hair. Sunmi looks at Alana with raised eyebrows, a silent question. I'm okay, Alana says, and means it. Sunmi nods, satisfied. Jin Seo confirmed the subject left Korean airspace 20 minutes ago. Passport has been flagged. If he attempts to return, we'll know immediately. Thank you, Alana says. We protect family. Sunmi replies simply. You're family now. After Sunmi leaves, Alana and Min Ben settle into their evening routine. Dinner with Minji, bath time filled with giggles and splashing, stories read in both English and Korean until their daughter's eyes droop closed. They move through these tasks with practiced coordination, a team built through choice rather than obligation. Later, with Minji asleep and the apartment quiet, they sit together on their balcony overlooking Seoul. The city sparkles below them, millions of lights representing millions of lives, millions of stories unfolding simultaneously. I used to think happiness was something other people experienced, Alana says quietly, something I wasn't designed for. And now I think happiness is just another word for choosing people who choose you back. She turns to look at him. Thank you. For today. For every day. For seeing me when I was invisible and loving me when I felt unlovable. Min Ben takes her hand, interlacing their fingers. From today forward, no one will ever make you feel small again. Not because I'll fight every battle for you, but because you'll have an army behind you that makes fighting back possible. An army. He gestures vaguely at the city below. Jinseo, Sunmi, the entire network of people who protect what I love because protecting family is non-negotiable in our world. He squeezes her hand. You're not alone anymore, Alana. You never have to be alone again. She leans against him, his arm wrapping around her shoulders, and watches the city breathe. Somewhere out there, Damon is on a plane leaving Korea, leaving her past where it belongs behind her. Somewhere closer, their daughter sleeps peacefully, unaware of the protection wrapped around her like invisible armor. And inside her, their second child grows, safe and loved and wanted. Alana closes her eyes and lets herself feel it, the full weight of being cherished, protected, chosen. It's terrifying in its intensity, overwhelming in its constancy. But it's also the most real thing she's ever experienced. I love you, she whispers. I know, Min Ben replies, his voice warm with affection and absolutely certainty. And I will spend every remaining day of my life making sure you never doubt it. They sit together as Seoul transitions from evening to night, two people who found each other in the most unlikely circumstances and built something unbreakable from broken pieces. The past will always exist. Scars don't disappear just because you survive them. But the past no longer defines their present or dictates their future. Alana has learned that healing isn't about erasing what hurt you. It's about building something stronger in the spaces where pain used to live. It's about choosing people who water your growth rather than poison your roots. It's about understanding that being loved doesn't require perfection. It requires presence. And she is present. Here. Now. Held by someone who sees her completely and loves her anyway. The baby inside her kicks, strong, healthy, insistent. Min Ben's hand moves to her belly automatically, feeling the movement, smiling with that same wonder he showed when Minji was born. Another daughter, Alana says. The ultrasound this morning confirmed it, though the confrontation with Damon drove the news temporarily from her mind. Another daughter, Min Ben repeats, voice thick with emotion. Two incredible women to protect and spoil and embarrass with excessive displays of affection. Alana laughs, the sound genuine and unforced. They're going to be so loved. They already are. And in this moment, sitting on a balcony overlooking Seoul with her husband's arm around her shoulders and her daughter sleeping peacefully inside and her second daughter growing steadily within her, Alana finally believes what she once thought impossible. That she deserves this. That happy endings aren't myths. They're just what happens when you survive long enough to find people who help you build them. That love, real love, doesn't make you smaller. It makes you exactly who you were always meant to be. She is no longer the woman Damon threw away. She is no longer defined by survival alone. She is Alana, wife, mother, healer, fighter, survivor, beloved. And that is everything. 6 months later, Alana gives birth to their second daughter, Hannah, which means flower in Korean. Min Ben cries again, holding both his daughters while Alana watches with exhausted joy. Minji toddles over, curious about her new sister, poking gently at the tiny infant with wonder in her eyes. Their family grows. Their life continues. The world Min Ben operates in still has dangers, still requires protection, but Alana has learned that safety isn't about the absence of threat. It's about having people who stand between you and harm without hesitation. Damon never returns, never contacts her,